What is happening, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome to the Fins Up Network. Ben Morgan back with another NFL draft player profile today. Now, the last profile that we put out was Jahmyr Gibbs. And I mentioned he is my number one overall choice at pick number 51 in the second round for the Miami Dolphins. But if Jahmyr Gibbs is off the board, Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia, who we're going to be covering today, is right behind Jahmyr Gibbs. And I'm going to tell you why I am also sold on him as a potential Miami Dolphins second round pick. I'm going to be talking about that throughout today's video. Now, it wouldn't be really all that surprising if Washington's off the board already as well. I mean, you can see some mocks out there where he's already off the board in the first round, towards the end of the first round. The crazy thing about this whole tight end situation with Georgia in particular is that his teammate, Brock Bowers, will likely be the top tight end when he decides to declare as well, which can be as early as next year. People are going to be drooling over him. Maybe not quite the way they were over Kyle Pitts, but he is going to be a highly sought after tight end prospect. So the fact that they had both of those guys, let's just say Georgia was completely stacked at that position the last couple of years. Kind of a big reason they won back-to-back national championships. But we're going to talk about Darnell Washington today, the strengths, the weaknesses, and most importantly, that fit with the Miami Dolphins if they make him the pick at number 51. But I got to hear from you first. Drop your thoughts on Darnell Washington in the comments. Are you cool with him being the pick at 51? Would you pass on him if he's available at 51? Do you think he's going to be gone? Let's hear your thoughts. But let's dive into him, one of the more intriguing tight end prospects in this year's draft. So if you're watching any Georgia football from last year or the year before, or even if you tuned into the NFL Combine when the tight ends were on the field, the first thing that you're going to notice about Darnell Washington is just overwhelming size. 6'7", 264 pounds, and he's essentially all muscle. The dude is rocked up. He made other big guys at the Combine look like random dudes. His sheer size and how well he carries it is absolutely impressive. And what'll be music to most Dolphins fans' ears? You always want to know about the tight end in Mike McDaniel's system with the Dolphins. How does he block? Well, his absolute best attribute on the football field is that blocking. And being that size obviously gives him a huge advantage over most people, other tight ends specifically in this class. He gets it done as a blocker in both the run game, in the pass game. Remember what he did to that blocking sled at the NFL Combine? There were some tight end prospects that were maybe moving it 2-3 yards. He legit would have taken that thing to the other end of the field if they wouldn't have blown the whistle. It was crazy impressive how he just manhandled that thing. And he's fairly capable as a pass catcher as well. We'll talk about that throughout today's video as well. But remember that one-handed catch that he essentially had to end the Combine? Thing was amazing. It's actually on your screen right there, full extension, kind of like Odell Beckham style right there. And once he gets the ball, man, he is an absolute menace to take down at that size. But you basically, in the passing game, you want to get him involved in routes that don't really involve a lot of starting and stopping. He's not the greatest in that aspect due to kind of the obvious reasons, the size. But get him going up the seam, have him drag across the field on a crossing route, let him get upfield and then sit into his zone. Things like that, if you utilize him in that fashion, he will be just fine. So if we're looking at some of the weaknesses, obviously we sort of touched on one weakness already there with that ability to run all of the routes and to get separation on all of those routes. That's kind of something that he does struggle with a little bit. But at the end of the day, he's just never shown pure production in the receiving game. 45 career receptions, 454 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he wasn't a stat sheet stuffer by any means in college, but that can be chalked up to a couple of different reasons. He simply wasn't relied upon as like a consistent pass catching option while he was at Georgia. And then we had mentioned it before, Brock Bowers. Look at his numbers. He took the bulk of the receiving duties at the tight end position there. But honestly, if he can land on a team that'll utilize him in play action and play to his strengths when it comes to the route running, he will be a solid tight end in the NFL for years to come. Just thanks in large part to that ability to remain on the field, just due to that consistency as a reliable blocker. And now we talk about his fit with the Dolphins. And I told you, it's Jahmyr Gibbs and it's him for me, because Darnell Washington he's kind of one of a select few players that we could realistically take at number 51 overall and get immediate production from already in year one. And yeah, granted, tight end is kind of proven to be one of the more difficult positions for rookies to step in, contribute from day one. But with the way Mike McDaniel demands tight ends to block at a fairly high level in order to get on the field, stay on the field, Washington fits the bill, and he fits the bill probably better than most any tight end in this year's class. And that's saying a lot, because it is a deep class. It is a solid class, one of the better tight end classes that we've seen in recent history. I do wish there was a bit more production as a pass catcher from his time in college. But man, if last year was any indication of how a Mike McDaniel offense is going to run moving forward, maybe we don't need a tight end that's a complete target monster in the receiving game. We may honestly be fine with a tight end that's a capable pass catcher at the very least, but really makes his presence felt as a rocker, as a blocker in the run game, in the pass game. And that seems to be Darnell Washington's absolute floor at the next level. So I think you could theoretically go into the 2023 NFL season with Washington, with Smythe, with Soybert as your team's primary tight ends. And yeah, we'd probably have to temper our expectations for any rookie tight end. But like I said, he's probably the most realistic option at the position that I think could step in year one already and contribute meaningful snaps. I love him as a prospect. Like I said, he's not the blow you away pass catching tight end that you would think taking a earlier round pick on would be. But man, what he can do to your offense as an extra blocker on that line. Think of like Mercedes Lewis and how long and a good career he's had, basically being that extra offensive lineman, but could also get it done in the receiving game. And I think he's probably going to end up being a better pass catching tight end than Mercedes Lewis was as well. And that's actually saying a lot. Mercedes covered out what, like a 15-year NFL career. He had that long catch against us on Christmas Day for the Packers. So like I said, I'm not really into comping. I just wanted to use him as an example as a player that's carved out a nice role as a tight end that can get it done as a pass catcher and then primarily as a blocker as well. But that's what I have got for Darnell Washington. Like I said, drop your thoughts in the comments. Curious to see where you land on the big guy out of Georgia as well. But that is what I've got for today, Miami Dolphins fans. Stay tuned. We've got a lot of I got some more player profiles coming out, but I've got a couple of random things coming up with the draft I'll talk more about in a future video. But those will be coming out as well. So get subscribed if you are not already. Stay tuned, turn those notifications on, and you will stay on top of things. But that's my time for today, Dolphins fans. Until next time, fins up.